This episode is brought to you by Boomslank.
The world of Japanese anime and manga, maybe light or web novel if you want to prove how smart you are for reading, is a wonderful and magical place of excitement, joy, lighthearted fun, horror, existential crisis, and learning the true meaning of friendship. Unless you're reading Berserk, Griffith, Skinner! Isekai Ojisan is a show with amazing fight scenes, intricate characters, interesting lore, and a funny story with an uncle who just so happens to look like an orc. It's a bit on the dark comedy side, it's bleak, even depressing at times, but not all of Ojisan has Konosuba level of nihilism. It has its moments of genuine love and happiness too. After he awakens in a hospital bed, we're introduced to Ojisan, who has just got out of a 17-year-long coma. And the only remaining family member that is willing to speak to him has some bad news. Uncle's gotta go on government aid. And most of his family members no longer like each other due to fighting about Ojisan's condition. It's a hard truth. Or it would be if Ojisan didn't just burst out a fucking wind spell. Holy shit, that's cool. That's right. It turns out our uncle was in fact in another world during his time in a coma. And he's filled to the brim with incredible powers and unstoppable magical items. What will he do with these newfound powers? Why, what any sane person would do, of course. Become a YouTuber! I mean, that's what I did. Yeah, I have powers. Don't fuck with me. Or else. In time, we learn who Ojisan is deep down. And everyone watching immediately relates to him due to him being a Sega fanboy. Sega! I love that purple mouse guy who runs fast, whoever he is. He's a kind-hearted soul who just wants to be internet famous and play his video games. I'm just starting to realize my experiences might not be universal. You can see the work he puts into trying to make things work with his nephew and adapt to his new surroundings after his coma. While he has a disconnect with reality, his heart is in the right place. Probably. Ojisan and his nephew Sidekick are off to explore the world and learn about forging new bonds. Oh, and become internet famous. Definitely not save the world. If it wasn't clear enough already, this story in particular is a bit of a subversion of itself. Isekai Ojisan, or Uncle from Another World, was created by a man known as Hotondo Shinderu. You know, for now. This show, while treading on topics that have been well tread by other authors, feels fun, fresh, and incredibly unique, while being a satire of isekai as a whole. It's got a lovable cast of top-tier waifus, and a cast of endearing men who completely fail to notice them like that. It's a super fun watch, and if you're not hooked after the hospital scene at the beginning of episode 1, I don't know what could hook you. Sadly though, things have not been going well for the show or the studio that produces it. This studio in question is none other than Atelier Pontdark. That name not ringing any bells? Well, that's not surprising, as they've only made one other anime, Ganbare Doki-chan. And it was more of an OVA than a full season, as each episode ranged from a 4 to 6 minute runtime, with only 12 episodes to speak of. With that being the one and only anime they created before tackling a full series of any kind, they were in for a mighty task to adapt a manga with such prestige and high-class comedic timing as Uncle from Another World. But reviews, reception, and downright praise has been given to the studio for their portrayal of it. The characters stayed consistent to the source material, and the animations got straight-up Sakuga at times. Things were looking up for Battle Cattle Point Break. Atelier Pontdark. That's what I said. Sorry, I'm allergic to French. Nothing, and I mean nothing, would come in and ruin this potential juggernaut. Nothing, I say. Nothing! I am the storm that is a Sadly, yes. It was announced that COVID had begun to spread in the small studio, and due to the close proximity of all of its employees, it ran rampant, resulting in multiple staff and crew infected, and putting the entire production of the anime to a grinding halt. For a small studio with everything to prove, this was, less than ideal. Sadly, this delay hit the studio so badly that it had to relaunch the anime despite having a Netflix deal. and likely having to break multiple contracts, both locally and globally. Animations usually take about 200,000 USD per 23-minute episode, and with typical anime seasons running about 12 episodes long these days, this easily becomes a $1 million production. That's not even mentioning all the marketing, merchandising, tie-ins, voice work, sound designs, musical compositions, and everything else that goes into a production like this. With how much money has gone into this, you can bet that there are some seriously infuriated executives out there fuming over these delays. Barring terror attacks and natural disasters, very few animes in history have ever had to take a break this extensive, with an initial 3-week delay between episode 4 and 5, and then a nearly 3-month delay between episodes 7 and 8. Something like that definitely slowed down momentum. With episodes set to start again on November 25th, fans have been anxiously waiting to see what Studio Arc Bridge has in store for them. What's gonna happen next in the adventure of our favorite ugly uncle with godlike powers? Does he bang the pretty neat dragon lady? Or the tsundere elf babe? Or that new girl who we just met? Who did he bang? Please, tell me! He banged somebody, right? Oh wait, no, he's a Sega fanboy, never mind.
This episode's brought to you by Boomslank. You know, after 16 years in a coma, Ojisan's gonna need a wardrobe upgrade. How do you expect to be a YouTuber if you're wearing the same outfit every day, Oji-san? Ignore that. Oji-san can use a new look for this episode's sponsor, Boomslank. Boomslank is an anime-themed clothing and lifestyle company that has partnered with all sorts of anime brands from the past, including Faku. Just imagine him wearing one of those hentai face shirts. It's priceless. They've got all sorts of themes, from mecha to cityscapes. Everything is high quality and won't disintegrate in the washing machine like some other anime clothing you may know. If you want to help us out at the Grimmjack channel, use our affiliate code in the link below, or enter code Grimmjack at checkout for 10% off your order. Okay, back to the show.
But why would a simple 2-week quarantine slow everything down for 3 whole months? Well, old Papa Grimmy Jimmy here just has the right... I don't know what I was going with. The thing is, anime isn't created like most other media. Most of the time, these studios are literally animating the product while it's still airing. And that's not all. Animation is by no means the final step in production, with multiple other stages left to go after it's done, including voice acting, editing, cleanup, and more. Just one initial delay, and the whole house of cards come crashing down, causing even more issues that cause even more delays. For instance, if you delay your production by a few weeks, some or all of your actors might have to sign on for new projects and no longer be available to reprise their roles. Scheduling conflicts ensue, and suddenly you have even more delays. That's not even mentioning interpersonal and professional conflicts, like animator Ippei Ichi being slated to direct episode 10 of the anime, only to find out he has literally no staff available to do the job. After an angry tweet, he was out the door. A blunder like that is gonna cause even more delays on top of already serious ones. This is in addition to other more established anime studios being somewhat underhanded and known to underpay their employees to the point of where some animators would be making as low as 200 USD per month. Oh yeah, I can't wait to buy some fucking, hold on, let me look what I can get with $200 in Japan. Google search,
Google, show me this guy's balls, please.
Oh hey! Isekai Ojisan has its own line of figures from the show! As somebody who's worked directly for the project, with a whole month of wages, I can afford to buy this figure of Elf for only $181.99. The sky's the limit with the other $18 and a penny! Oh hey! Alternatively, I could buy this fucking backpack for exactly $200! Apparently my payment as an animator is worth a fucking backpack! This is definitely worth the traumatic and soul-crushing experience of working frame by frame to make sure a single shot looks absolutely perfect! And all of that only reflects the mistreatment of animators in an already established studio. You can only imagine the kind of mindfuckery, plus mental and physical wear, that something like this would do with a studio that, again, only had one other anime in its filmography. And that anime has a shorter runtime than 2 episodes of Fate, aka 42 minutes and 21 seconds. That's not even half of what Oji-san has to offer, with each episode coming in at a whole whopping 22 to 23 minutes. This was a big task for the animation studio to go through, with a mini-series to a full series of an established property that already has fans from all over Japan. This is an opportunity to make something wonderful, and to get their foot in the door for more ambitious and profitable works after this one. This studio itself worked their asses off, and hopefully this venture will pay off for them. After all, what's not to love about an ugly uncle who is actually a pretty cool dude that doesn't understand social cues without referencing Sega games? And who knows? Maybe the delay will have turned out to be a good thing. Something to get the studio back to 100% and get back in working on their stuff. Hopefully Ojisan can be a funny story in the rear view about how a studio that got hit with COVID can come back strong and put out a legendary anime to be enjoyed by the masses for years to come. And not a cautionary tale about stepping 1 foot out of line and being crushed by big industry. After all, it isn't that bad here in the States. Western animation is being treated so well, with pioneers like HBO Max developing more and more shows, helping the animation community, and going off to give more artists outlets to make their voices heard. I can see a bright future for animation ahead. Am I right? Come on, can I get a hell yeah? 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 Why am I gonna do this? It's not fair! It's not